Peace.
Peace.
This is Joshua Miller Law, Mr. PhD. You're just now entering the cipher called Real2reel360. KYs.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real2reel360 show. Let's get it in. We do the knowledge of wisdom so you can understand. Real360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to porn. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy your show. Peace.
Peace to Allah's mighty Father, nation of God's nurse, to all the human families of the planet Earth. We bid you a love, peace, and happiness. High salute. What's good? Welcome to the Real2reel360 show. I am DJ KYs, aka Kato, the Black Superhero, and it's on and popping. We got our sister back, and it's an explosive episode. We're going to get right into it because she got some good flavor to bring. So let's bring on the co-host with the most. And, you know, he's on the hot seat tonight. We got the hot bench for him. We good. So, y'all, let's go. Let's get it in, shall we?
Am I the meanest?
Sure enough.
Am I the baddest mofo low down around this time?
Sure enough.
Well, who am I?
Joshua Miller Law.
Who am I?
Joshua Miller Law.
I can't hear you.
Joshua Miller Law, Mr. PhD.
Peace, peace.
Peace to all our followers, likers, and subscribers. Make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. That lets people know that you're tuned in to Real2reel360. If you're on Facebook, make sure you share this, because this is going to be an epic episode. Today we have our sis with us, and our sis is a HRT coach, healing restoration treatment coach, and she works with individuals on a daily basis about self-healing and things of that nature. So today we will bring our sister on, and this is going to be a Joshua Mel bashing situation. But thank you. Thank you so much.
He trying to put in the cushion already, trying to put out like a bashing. It ain't a bashing.
Thank you very much. Let's bring my sister.
It is not a bashing. Let's not even start off with that, okay?
Bring my sister.
Exactly.
It's not
Good
that.
evening, sis. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Good evening. Good evening.
I'm excited about being here.
We are always grateful for you to come. Right now, we've had you on a few times, but maybe a few people don't know who you are and don't know what you do. So if you can give yourself like a little introduction so they know exactly what you do.
So yeah, now when I think about it, I think I've been on 4 times, maybe 5. But for those that don't know, you're gonna learn today. No, seriously. I am Lynn Meyer, the HRT coach, which stands for Healing, Restoration, and Transformation. And I am a licensed professional counselor. Been in the field for mental health for 22 years now. I am an emotional healing coach for women that have dealt with physical and sexual abuse, and I help them feel safe and sexy in their bodies and their emotions. So that's just a little bit who I am. I'm much more, but just for those that want a little bit, there it is.
Okay. Now, sis, you've been working in this field for a little while, and you have had retreats that you have done, community events that you have done. Can we speak to the latest retreat that you have done and organized yourself?
Oh, yeah. So the last retreat I did was in the month of April, and that is the Sexual Abuse Awareness Month. So I try to do them in April and also in October. So October would be domestic violence. And we did that this year, and it was better. Each time we do it, it's better and better and better. And so what I like to do is just have an intimate space. I only allow 6 women at a time to come to this retreat because it's already a sensitive topic. It's all, people already feel uncomfortable. So I allow 6 women to come. and we have everything that you can think of. Anything that's holistic, anything that I think can heal the body, that's what we have. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown, it's a weekend retreat. They come in on Thursday, they relax, all those things. Friday we start with education. Saturday is self-care. Sunday is like a brunch that celebrates them. And I have a chef that comes in that caters and does all the food. I have a lady that comes in that deals or shows us Reiki. She gives us like yoga techniques and skills and all those type of things. I have a massage person that comes in. I do the education about trauma, how to heal from it, all those things, to keep them safe, let them process. And so that's how it goes. It is a beautiful experience. It's one of those things that I never thought that would be as beautiful as it is. I knew it would be impactful, but I didn't think it would be that impactful for them to say they want to sign up for the next retreat. It's really good. So we have that, but I have something else on the other side.
To talk about your books. You
Oh
have
yeah.
Let's definitely bring those books out that help with individuals heal, how to learn how to cope, and also to maintain themselves.
Hmm.
Um, what are the name of those books?
So the names of the books are No More When Being a Victim of Sexual Abuse is No Longer an Option. If I could just grab them real quick, like I forgot to grab them. Is that okay? Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Look, un momento, por favor.
Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please be advised that today is a show that you would definitely need to get your pens and paper, and so you can learn how to cope and grow from certain experiences that you have been through. All right. And
Okay. It's a message. So I'll show all three. So this is the first one.
mhm,
This is a
no
No More
more.
book. This is the one about the experience of the sexual abuse from my father and all the things that I went through. How I started from the pain, went into like power, and then it ended up being a purpose of how I help women heal. And then I decided to create a journal that goes along with it. I never do this right.
All right.
That's good.
So these two go together.
Mhm.
It's the book, and then this is a journal. And then also, um, I have a workbook for those. No more excuses. Let's heal for real. And all these could be found on Amazon. Okay. Um, so the workbook was created after I continued to talk to people that said, "Oh, I really don't know if I want to go to counseling. I don't know if I really want to work with you. I don't know if I want to deal with all this stuff, but I know I need to do something." And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you exactly what you need. Because it's the type of questions that make you, it's not just yes or no. It's one of those books or questions that make you say, huh, yeah, this is a problem, or I never thought about it like that, or this is so much, I really need to step away, think about it, and come back instead of just writing some things down. So I've gotten a lot of really good reviews on all three of the books, and I'm really proud of them. Because it was something that I knew I needed to write out of healing my own self, not exposing my family, but actually telling the truth so that I could heal and they could also start their healing too. And so that's how all the books just came about, really.
Now, in the dealing with sexual abuse, a lot of
Hmm.
times people don't realize that as a mate or a person who is dealing with someone who has been sexually abused, it also affects them as well because they have to learn how to uh, cope with different triggers that might happen or different situations that
Yeah,
they don't understand.
correct. So I
So
would just even tell you a little bit about the people that were around me. So my husband, for example, we've been together for a while. But in the beginning, it was extremely hard for him to understand my actions and my behavior because it was, if I were to be honest, which I am, it was a bit off and and off-putting, I would say. So he didn't know how to handle that. He would ask questions like, "Why is it that you don't want me to touch you?" I didn't want compliments. I didn't want him touching me. I didn't want him to admire my body. Like it was all those things that in a relationship that you would want from your mate, but I didn't want that. And he felt rejected. So all of that, all of the trauma, all of the pain that I was going through, it turned around for him as rejection. But for me, it was me trying to express that I had all this stuff going on, still not knowing how to express it, but that's how it came about. So that's one of the things that when I tell people or talk to people about trauma, I look at their partner too, because that person also needs healing or also needs, assistance, because it's a lot to deal with somebody like us. Um, yeah, it really is.
Now, how do you go about healing the mate that's dealing with someone who's been sexually abused?
Mhm. Um, it sounds very hard, but it really can be really simple. Just letting them know that they're not by themselves is the very first thing I would say. And when because this is what my husband needed. And then also when I work with clients, this is what they say they need. Just knowing that they're not by themselves and they're not feeling the rejection all in their head, because sometimes it feels that way. That's the first thing, but also just getting them education on what it means for, I don't want to say good touch, bad touch, but there are a lot of sexual issues that are behind sexual trauma. So just them understanding that, understanding communication is open. It really seems like, when you are talking to your children when they're younger, and says, "Now, if anybody touches your body, this is what you say, this is what you do." It kind of goes back to that. Is it okay that I say this? Is it okay that I do this? Are we okay when we do this? Even when we are in the act, if there's something that needs to stop or change or whatever, be open to that. But then also letting them know it still has nothing to do with the fact that you're not attractive, you're not masculine enough, you're not um pleasing. None of that it has nothing to do with that. But for the man, that's what it's going to be like. And so that's what I would say about that. I mean, the same thing. If the man had been sexually abused and the woman didn't understand it, it would be the same thing for her too, because she would feel rejected as well. Like, you don't want me. Like, I'm beautiful, I'm attractive. You don't want me, and it has nothing to do with the person. It's just what they're going through. So education is the best, and also therapy. Like, it's good for that person to receive therapy too, as well, not just the victim or the survivor.
What I
Um,
want to say is
Hmm.
it's very important to express to people. So here's my question with it, because as we look at everybody's situation will always be different from yours and everything. So a question I'm sure would come up would be time. How do we measure the time of healing for someone else outside of our own time, to say we have that proper understanding where we're meeting in the middle for time?
Hmm. So again, I will go back to um, communication and understanding one another, because time to me is just like when people deal with grief. Nobody can tell you how to grieve. Nobody can tell you anything about that, and no one can tell you how long it needs to take for you to heal. Sometimes healing from any situation can be a lifelong thing. It's just like you just feel healed, ed, in certain areas. So if I'm healing from people not touching me, or I don't want to be touched, and then that's something that I'm comfortable with, there's going to be another level up to whatever that is. So again, going back to the time frame, because I'm glad you brought that up, because my husband, I guess what I would say, like year 7, he was just like, you ain't over this thing. Not saying that, but kind of like, you ain't over this. And I was just like, no, I'm not. And he was like, well, I don't understand. It's been this long and this. And at first, it made me very upset, because I was like, he doesn't understand anything. But then I understood. I looked at him as to say, this probably does feel like it's taken a very long time. So let me get to understanding what he needs from me, and for me to try to get him to understand what I need from him. And then that's where we were able to come into the middle of like, okay, I don't know how long it's going to take. However, I will allow myself to just be more open to other things that I felt like I would shy away from. So let me give you an example. If it were so many things that I did. but I didn't like to expose my body in front of him. I always wanted to put a towel on. Like after I got the shower, I was like, oh no. And he was like, but I'm your husband. I'm like, I know, but So then I started saying, okay, well, maybe a quick flash or something like that, just for me to get comfortable. And then after I'll do that, then we will kind of laugh. And I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. So then this is no lie. This is exactly what I said to him. I said, so when I get out the shower, just look at me, but don't make a big deal out of it. And he was like, okay. So I would just walk around, walk around, walk around. I was like, no, I see you. Don't make a big deal out. Don't do it. And so then I started feeling more comfortable because he didn't make a big deal out of it. And then we were able to talk about it. But yeah, it's really important to talk about that time. And that's how we were able to understand and get to the place where we are now.
Good.
Good, good. Peace, peace, peace. Um, Now, what type of obstacles was placed in a relationship behind that? Like, what was it the things that y'all went through trying to figure out the safe place for him and the safe place for you?
Golly, there's so many. I would say the biggest obstacle was probably me allowing him to appreciate all of my womanness. Okay. So I don't know. It was just really difficult for me to accept the fact that now I have a man in my life that actually loves me. Okay. And he's not going to hurt me. And I've allowed myself to bring this wall down, but it's still very hard for me to accept all his advances, all his admiration, like everything. That was the biggest thing. That was one of the biggest obstacles. Until one day he just said, "You're really safe with me. I know you probably think you're not, but you're safe with me." And him saying those words allowed me to be like, "Oh my God, I am safe with you. I have actually put you in a category with all these other men that hurt me." And that was a fault, of mine, not him. But him saying that is what really opened that up.
You
Mhm.
know, I also want to add this as a question because I think it's vital for those parents or at the time we'll say victims that have children where even in the midst of the relationship, we know the healing part and the factors can go bad within the relationship, good or bad with the relationship, but the effect is still always within the kids because they have to wonder, is mommy all right? Is daddy all right? How are they together? How is it going to impact us as kids?
Correct.
Is mommy and daddy getting divorced or are they okay? Many questions in their mind that most kids won't bring to the forefront because
Yeah.
all they want is mommy and daddy to be happy.
Yeah.
So how do we address that situation for the children?
I'm so glad you brought that up. I have like the dopest children. Y'all already know. Like I
Mhm.
have the dopest children because we allow them to speak and ask questions. Um, Nothing is off the table. Nothing is off the table. It is your tone and it's how respectful you ask the questions. So they can ask anything. And I remember Haley trying to do that around. She was just like, "Mommy, are you okay?" She tried to cater to me. "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" Uh, we don't need to do that. And me noticing that was a trait that I had when I was a child, I instantly picked up on it. And I was just like, no, baby, it is not your job to care for mommy, daddy, siblings. It is your job to make sure that you are okay. It is nice, to have compassion. It is nice to be, concerned, but it's not your job to make mommy happy, daddy happy, anybody else happy. So you make sure you do that. And so she was like, she really understood that because I knew at some point when we did have conflict or when I wasn't able to receive the love the way that he wanted me to, it was like, it was a strain. And so they saw that and they felt that. And it was more like, oh, let's try to fix it. And I, no, I made sure they understood this is not your job. Mommy and daddy are fine. We're good. We're working things out, but don't step in to think that you have to come in and try to save the family, because that's hard. That's a lot of pressure on a child, because like I said, that's what I thought I needed to do. So yeah, that definitely does happen. And so I would say to that, for those parents or those adults that have children that are doing that, talk to your children and take them off the hook. Let them know it's not their job to do that. You know, it's okay to, like I said, to be concerned, but it's not their job to fix the family. And then when it is brought to them, mommy and daddy hopefully will do something about that, whatever
Now,
that looks like.
do trust issues come about because of certain situations? Do situations bring insecurities and trust issues inside the relationships during and after, just in case like they break up or what have
So are you saying if I experience any?
you? Yes, yes,
Um, absolutely. Like, yeah, trust issues happen because the reason why I didn't trust him is because I didn't trust myself. Okay. And people may say, well, you didn't do anything wrong. No, I didn't do anything wrong. However, because I didn't trust other people, I feel like, well, then I can't be trusted either. So I didn't trust him. I didn't trust myself. And nothing that he did was, for me, I didn't believe it. In the very beginning, I did not believe anything he said because I couldn't trust the fact that he was consistent. Like, my husband is freaking, man, he's freaking amazing. And I did not know that a man could be that consistent with anything. Like, he's consistent with everything. Um, and that scared me, and I didn't understand that. And because I had trust issues, I was like, heck no, we're not doing that. Like, mm-mm. And then with him, I don't think he had trust issues with me as far as like to go out and do other things with other people. I think the trust for him was more of, can I trust her with my feelings? Like, would she be able to receive this? Is this a waste of time? I think it showed up like that in for him. But for me, it was just like, I'm not gonna believe nothing you say until I noticed the consistency of it. And that's another good point. So like, remember like when you and I were talking the other day, um, if that situation is not handled, dealt with, resolved, whatever, it's going to be taken right into the next situation. And then you're going to wonder why this one is not working out, thinking it was the chick, and you know it's you. You know, it's just like, no, it's the person that's still there. It's not the person that left you. So yeah, those trust issues really need to be worked out.
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like the conversation we had the other day was, to me, was like a healing type of situation. Um, because of I dealt with someone who was sexually abused when we were younger, and I had a child with her. Matter of fact, I had two children with her, and dealing with that type of situation, not understanding when we got older and became a family under one roof and everything else, why she was doing what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So when the relationship ended, I had not insecurities, but I just didn't trust everyone afterwards, and would do a whole lot of self sabotage.
Yeah.
Like when it got to be good, I'm thinking everything is great, everything is going good. I would
Mm-hmm.
do something to cause it to fall off. And it took me years to be able to get past that point because of the effect that I had in that one relationship, not understanding she needed help because she was sexually abused. And it's not like she didn't care about me. She just
Mm-hmm.
was uh, how coping with whatever was going on. There was a lot of triggers for her. So she only knew how to cope in the situation one way. And I did
Yeah.
and I was young and didn't understand it at that time.
Yeah.
So with that, I would ask, do you work with men now, or are you starting to work with men now
Mm-hmm.
to help them cope with their mates or their situations from their past?
Absolutely. So this happened, I would say, last year. No, it's 2 years ago. My husband brought it to me. He says, "So you know what? You're always working with these women. That's good that you're working with the women. When you gonna work with the men?" And I was just like, "They need their own person, not me." But the men started like sending me messages and emailing me and things like that. And I was like, "Oh well, I don't really work with men right now, but I will consider it." So it became to be one of those things that I would get asked a lot. Answer your question. That's one of my announcements. So, of course, I work with women, but now I'm going to start working with men in my program, helping them because for some reason, men just feel very comfortable around me.
I think it's a part where most men, like I said, most men, I can't speak for all, but most men may feel like they're passed by in their pain because of the women more expressively and so forth. So men have a tendency to be more resilient about it. But we feel like there's some point in time that we do need an outlet. We do need somebody to talk to. We do need somebody to hear and listen to what we're saying and not take it as a sign of, oh, you a man, suck it up. Boom, boom, boom. No,
Right.
we are a man. We have feelings. And we dealing with the emotions. We got feelings to where there's things that we want to get out and talk about that affect us in a ways that can hinder the relationship we have currently or hinder
Right.
the relationship we're going to step into if we ourselves have not learn to deal with the old baggage and let that go and not blame the new package for what damage the old package has done.
That's right. And that was very well said because that's exactly what men say to me, you know. And I know I've said this to you before, both of y'all before. Men feel so comfortable with me because they say you're the only woman in my life that will allow me to share without judging me. I'm like, golly, we gotta do better. Like, it's awful. We have to do better. We really do. And because
It,
that's sad, because I think about like these men have wives, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmas, and you're telling me I'm the only one that you
it,
feel
it
comfortable with?
it's like that statement that Chris Rock said. Men are only loved conditionally. They're not loved unconditionally like women, children, and pets, right? So it's hard for a man to go to
Yeah.
someone and expose themselves openly when they feel like they're not going to be received. You
Yeah.
you don't look masculine when you're coming to someone and they're trying to belittle you. You'll suck that, like bro said, suck that up. This, that, and the third. You're a man, but the burdens of the world weighs on a man, not just on his shoulders, but on his
Correct.
mind as well. So
Correct.
when you're looking at it, and like I was saying, self sabotaging, that's mental.
Hmm.
That's all mental. Self sabotaging is mental because you have nowhere to go. And when we talk, there's certain things that I'll say to you that I won't say to no one else. And even the conversation we had, I
Hmm.
touched on a little bit a few minutes ago, but it's certain things I just won't go into
Yeah.
publicly. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because you got a man needs to feel safe with
Yes.
his feelings just as well as a woman needs to feel safe with hers. And majority of the time, if you're not providing something as a man, you're not
Hmm.
respected all the way around the board, mentally, emotionally, or physically.
Yeah. That's
There's,
absolutely true.
there's something I want to address, bring to the panel because I'm reading it and I'm kind of looking at it in a different way. So I want to make sure we get the proper understanding from the Facebook user's expression right here. So I'm going to bring
Okay.
it up and let's take a look at it, sis. 'Cause I'm not
What
exactly sure where they're coming
Okay,
from.
what people don't realize more, men had their first sexual encounter with another man or a family member, and the shame gets turned into toxic masculinity. Okay.
No, I don't know about that one.
How did you see that? Okay, how did you see that?
It was kind of confusing because I'm looking at what we're discussing
Hmm.
and I'm looking for a little bit more elaboration to it or understanding about it, the situation, but for the comment, what do you mean? Where you're coming from with it to bring this comment to that? Because I'm trying to make, is there a question of the preceding this that I can follow up with what that sounds like the statement is? Because I'm thrown
Yeah.
off by saying that, because it just says what people don't realize is when most men or more men had their first sexual encounter with another man. I'm confused on that. How does that make fit into the equation of what we're talking about
Hmm.
in for healing? If he's talking, it's got to be more straight than that. I'm not understanding that.
Well,
I think I would want more information on it too, but
Right.
what my brain is telling me is that this person, the person, or give an example,
Uh-huh.
had a sexual encounter with a male first. Okay, with
now,
that, with that, that is probably the reason why they're looking at masculinity versus I mean, looking at this person's masculinity because they were with a male first. That's kind of how I see it. But even with that, I would say trauma is what the topic is about.
I
Yes,
believe that's
trauma
what
is
the
what the
person.
topic is about.
I believe that's what
Absolutely,
the person is saying from
absolutely.
relating to the top trauma. I understand that, but again,
I'm
there's a gap. There's a gap there for
Hmm.
me.
now I'm gonna say majority of individuals that I grew up around
Hmm.
were sexually inquisitive because of older brothers having conversations with them, individuals around them back in the days sneaking and watching tapes, videotapes, or
Hmm.
magazines or what have you. The curiosity. Now, far as homosexual acts, I have no idea that lot of men indulge first experience was a homosexual act, but I do know that having sex at a young age is traumatic.
It is.
It's traumatic whether you're having it male and male, female and female. It all is traumatic and it all works on your mental
It
because
does.
it's an experience of your body going through things that it don't understand. You're having an orgasm and all these different things and your body's going through changes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's
And I think that's what it is. Sexual encounters is not always homosexual behavior, cousin. You hit my point. And that's what I was getting ready to say. I bet that's what they were talking about.
mhm,
Hmm.
And so, yeah,
yeah.
you got it.
So that's pretty much what it is. It's like individuals when you start having sex young, like I never like I don't know about my big bro's first experience, but I always talk about my first sexual encounter, hanging out, cut school, and with the older guys. We
Mm-hmm.
was down at someone's house, drinking. They were smoking and going back and forth in the room with the young girls.
Mm-hmm.
And the brother asked me, he was like, "Yo, you ever had any, what I'm saying, whatever, whatever?" And I was 11 years old, so I was silly, goofy, and all these different things. And he had the young lady take me in the back room and give me that experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
When that happened, and I had my first orgasmic experience at
Right.
11 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware of, what I'm saying, orgasm, cum, nuts, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I thought she broke it. I'm gonna be honest, like I thought she broke it
Mm-hmm.
because some white stuff jumping out. And as a
Mm-hmm.
kid, your parents always tell you that pus looked like this, that, and the
Right.
third. So I thought that's what it was. So I had to really get with like an uncle to sit me down and give me that talk because in the black community we don't have that birds and bees conversation. We don't really sit down and have those type conversations about what your sexual experience is, what your relationship would be with another, what I'm saying, of opposite sex. So it's like it's all like taboo. Majority of us learn about sex in the streets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
And
that's
I
traumatic. I mean, we can look at any situation as traumatic. Like anything, a loss, something that happened, like anything can be traumatic. It's all about how we look at something, right? Because a death can be traumatic, but to someone else, it could be that was the most beautiful thing that happened to that person, because whatever. But even with all of that, that is the reason why I feel like there's a lot of sexual issues behind sexual trauma, of having sex too early, being molested, being raped, all the things, violent and non-violent. And because we don't sit down and talk to our children as a whole, we don't sit down and talk to our children. This is the reason why my work that I do is so important. Because when you don't talk to these children and they grow up and they become adults like us, and they're like, what? Why is it still an issue? How is it I'm still having this hard time? Well, what does that mean when this? And I still can't receive this. And I don't understand. Like, really? And so when I go back and I talk to these adults, I do tell them, I said, start educating your children. Start talking to your children, not just bad and good touch. No, tell them everything. Talk to them about everything, because if you don't, they're going to learn it in the street.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and I want to address. We got some good topics coming up in the boxes, but I'm gonna say this. For me, my very first sexual encounter was at a very, very, very young age. Now, there was no trauma. It was just like a surprise. My sexual experience trauma came when I understood that I was hurt from the woman that did something to me to hurt me emotionally, that affected me because of the sexual attraction that I had within it, thinking that, oh man, this is it. Yeah. But when you did wrong, that was my first experience as trauma at a young age in a sexual manner. Now, another situation was being a trauma on the other side of it was being molested, sexually assaulted. That's another side of trauma.
Yeah.
Okay. To where you're dealing with dualities of different situations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it comes in for me, of having an understanding of my sexual encounter as a young kid was a great thing, even though it was way too young.
Yeah.
Being that young kid and having older brothers to look up to was like, yo, I got, do as I say, you know what I'm saying? Don't do as I do, and then you're good. That was the concept from the street laws in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I just want to spread. But I want us to look at the first comment that I got pinned up from the Facebook user, who was saying that we get bad information and then we don't live up to the expectation of the bad information. We feel insecure and inferior. That's one of the top that they were saying, and I do agree with that statement, But here's what KD said, right? Brother KD says, he begged to differ. I guess this when you were speaking, John. This when he came around. He said he begs to differ because for him, he loved it and learned to pay attention to what women needs and his priority, but to satisfy, to reach now is one where we're all growing up different. Got that? Got that. So what do you say to these two? What you just read, sis, what we put out there?
So this one right here says, I beg to differ. I loved it, and I learned to pay attention to what a woman needs. And okay, so I don't know the age of what was going on with him, but he probably was still pretty young, and he just took the situation differently. Instead of thinking that it was inappropriate or that something happened, he thought, oh, I'm being taught something, and this is something I need to learn when I get older. Then I know, how to do this going forward. Still. And this is me respecting the answer, but also saying it's still too young for any of us to be doing it. Even though all this stuff happened, it's still too young for us to even be experiencing this, because our brain doesn't even develop until like we're 25 years old. So if we're dealing with all this, even if it was a surprise, like you said, Kay, John said he thought things was broken. KD said, hey, I knew how to please a woman and satisfy all of the different experiences and different outcomes, right?
Right.
But we still had no business having to deal with that experience, even if we felt like we were consenting, And with the other person, he says we learned bad information and then we don't live up to it. Is that what it was?
We live up to the expectations of the bad information. That was my cousin Greg West.
Okay. We feel insecure and inferior.
Right.
Yeah. Um, Let me say this. So the I did have some women in my family that were not good examples. And so they pretty much like tried to raise us like y'all's brothers and uncles tried to raise y'all, right? And so it would be more like you make sure that you get the money, you make sure that you please a man, you make sure. And I'm just like, wait a minute, why are you telling me to do things like that? Pretty much trying to what am I trying to say? Groom me to be like the biggest hoe or something like that. I'll
Mhm.
just say it that way. And I'm just like, why would you even think that this is something that I should be doing? And so, no, did I live up to the expectations? No, but did they want me to? Yeah, because they were hoes themselves, and they knew how to and pretty much flaunt that type of lifestyle. And this is what you can get, and how you can get, and how you can please a man. Like it was very raunchy. Um, and that's the type of stuff they were teaching us. So when we didn't live up, or when I didn't live up to the expectation, um I didn't feel bad about it, but I understand his what his statement was. But I knew that was something I
Well,
wasn't
that goes
supposed to do.
back to Josh's
Now,
statement about
Mm-hmm.
what we learn from street or you know traditional
Correct.
values that
right.
if you grow up in that type of environment, then that's all
Right.
you know
That's
to
all you
So
understand
know.
that's it.
is
Right.
right and wrong within that perspective until
Right.
you step outside your own box and learn
Correct.
Right.
differently.
It's just like, let me say this, and I know y'all understand this. It's just like this. And my dad was a thug, right? Thug. Went to prison, got shot like thug. He was. Um, and he grew up in that lifestyle thinking that's what he was supposed to do.
Hmm.
And had we listened or watch it, then that's what we were supposed to do too, right? It's just like those that grow up in gangs, and all your grandfather was a pimp, and this and that, and ran with Bumpy and all the people. And then yeah, but it doesn't mean you have to continue in that. Even though I know that's what you saw, and that's what you are expected to do, doesn't mean that's what you need to do.
Also, sis, I wanted to touch on something. As
Yeah.
growing up, there used to be a lot of locker room talk about sex and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And as young guys, we didn't realize the damage we were doing to young ladies, right? Being the fact that
Yeah.
we were, some was hiding in the closet, waiting for their turn, or bringing, or trying to feed them young with bottles and James, because that's what they were drinking back in the days, bottles of
Yeah, it
James.
was.
Yeah, and trying to get them intoxicated so
Mm-hmm.
we could take turns with them, not
Right.
realizing that the cause and effect mentally that it was having on a lot of young ladies, and what it was happening to us as young men,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's the same damage that was being done to her is being done to us, because we were looking at it like this was something we were supposed to do.
Right.
And as we get older, we still look at it, certain things or certain situations, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a game. A woman's body is a game, or she's supposed to do this, or she's supposed to do that, or you can do
Yeah.
whatever without taking your time with her. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that plays a big part when you start talking about building walls, because it's damaging to a young lady to think about her past. And
Mm-hmm.
people make jokes about um you was a hoe, you was this, you was this, you was this,
Yeah.
but not understanding mentally they wasn't in the greatest places, or was
Mm-hmm.
easily influenced because of
Yes.
certain things. Um
Correct.
and
Correct.
that, and now they needing to be healed from that, because not understanding how to have relationships.
So let me speak to that. I know Kay put up this comment, but let me speak to that. That's exactly what happened with me. That's exactly what happened to my sister. Now that I know that the same thing, like she was sexually abused by my dad too, and no one knew until she told me the story, because we thought I was the only one. But growing up, having that experience and having been introduced to sex at a very, very young age. Like it completely, I would say damaged and destroyed my body because at 2 years old, like my dad was abusing me, and that that child should be playing with dolls or whatever. But anyway, growing up, I then began to abuse my body, sleep with everybody. Y'all know the story. Sleep with everybody didn't matter. Like it's the body count is high. You know what I'm saying? And so when I think about my sister too, like she was very promiscuous also because of the damage that it did to us. You were talking about how the damages with the ladies and I mean the girls and then the boys, but that damage was so deep. So even though I was being violated in my body, I then thought, hey, I'm in control. So now I can go have sex with everybody else, but I'm the one that's in control, but not realizing I was still damaging or putting more damage to my body because nothing was being healed, nothing was getting resolved, nothing was being improved. Like all of it was unhealthy, toxic, whatever you want to say, the things that I was doing. But the only difference was I felt like I was in control. And now, if this is going to happen to my body, it's because I want it. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, definitely. This is a topic that a lot of us in the black community don't have but need to start having because
Yeah, for
we
sure.
have that one relative in the family that has abused and we don't talk about it. We have that relative that's been abused and we don't talk about it. And we don't understand the level of actual sexual abuse that
Hmm.
individuals are going through. And a lot of
Hmm.
times we don't even realize that it is sexual abuse
Hmm.
because like KD, I had, what I'm saying, my first experience at 11. She's 16. I don't, what I mean, after I realized what was going on, of course I wanted to go back and have some more, but not
Hmm.
realizing that at that time you take your body and you put your body in a situation where you're starting to mature faster than you should.
Yeah.
And that become a very focal point with your lifestyle. And
Hmm.
as young men, we all know that a lot of guys used to lie about having sex when they wasn't.
Yeah.
And you're trying to keep up with different individuals' body counts that they claim that they're having. And even if you didn't have intercourse or you did have intercourse, the pressure and the pain that it put on the young lady that you was dealing with when you opened your mouth and ran around talking about it. That's another part of abuse because at that
For
point in
sure.
time, she becomes ostracized or she becomes
Correct.
belittled and all these different things. And as a father with daughters, you know what I'm saying? That's the reason why you see fathers be so like hard on their daughters because they know certain situations.
Hmm. But I think
And
we should be hard on all the children. So I'm glad you left this up. It says when we do the shadow work, we carry all that stuff with us into our lives, pass it on, seeds and younger generations, and normalize it. Yes, yes, and then I have to add something to that.
All right.
Okay, so I think all types of healing is necessary. The mental healing, emotional, physical, shadow work, all that. But to me, none of that works until you start dealing with your nervous system. Y'all know why I say that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if I'm dealing with okay, the fact that my father abused me when I was a child, okay, I can talk about that. Sure, I can talk about that. Sure, I can talk about that. However, my nervous system, if I don't deal with that, it's still like little bugs, little ants all on the inside, just jittery, jittery. And I can just say this happened, but if I don't deal with that and regulate that, shadow work, therapy, group, that none of that is going to work. So that's what I wanted to add to that. Because people do talk about shadow work, and I think it's really important to do it for those that want to do it. However, it can't just stop right there because for to normalize it or to even to discuss it, then let's talk about how it does affect you on the inside with your nervous system. Like seriously, we always talk about, oh, people think they have insomnia or whatever. No, you probably stress the hell out and have anxiety and worry because your nervous system is all jacked up. that messes with your health. It messes with a lot of things. So it's not just that. So I will agree to that, but I would just say if we really need to work on that nervous system too, because without that, it's just like you just talk therapy without really getting to the root of the pain, you know?
Right. Now, sis, also too, back in the days, a lot of times men would have conversations with their sons,
Oh, for
like
sure.
about sex, but they wouldn't have the conversation that's needed to have, like be a player, different women, like the womanizing type of conversation. And the more women that you have under your belt, the more of a man that you are. So we need
Absolutely.
to have that real conversation with our young men to
Absolutely.
understand the cause and effects and what soul ties are, what damages
Absolutely.
we honestly bring to one another when we're playing with each other's body, because
Hmm.
now it's not about love, it's about a good feeling, good time.
Hmm. It is. It definitely is. Kate, bring that up again. Look, KD and I get ready to be friends. He has no idea. I'm loving what the young man is saying, but no offense, I think a lot of OGs need to be able to talk to a lot of young men, totally different opinions, but I respect her. First of all, you respect me because I'm saying the same thing you say. Katie, this is just for the camera, okay? No, seriously. I understand. Like I really do. I understand
Right.
that. Yeah, it seems like you need to talk to your sons differently than you need to talk to your daughters. However, because of everything I have gone through, everything I know about my great grandparents to my grandparents on both sides, to my parents that raised me that did a horrible job. Um, I talk to all children this way. I've been talking to my nieces and nephews this way. Like they come to me because they call me the positive aunt, but they know that I'm gonna give it to you like it says straight, no chaser.
Mhm.
How whoever I'm talking to, that's how I'm gonna talk to. Give you an example. If I have a niece that's like da 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 da, I'm gonna talk to her like that for just a little bit, and then I'm gonna give her what she really needs. If I have that niece that curses all the time or whatever, that's how I'm gonna talk to her because that's how she's gonna receive the conversation. But I don't sugarcoat nothing with my children. My children are 20, 11, 9, 5, and 4. And they all know about vaginas, penises, breasts, ejaculation, cum, however we want to say it, we say it. But I get like KD, I respect your point too. But yeah, I get it. The conversation needs to be not tiptoed around. It really needs to be discussed in a manner of, hey, this is what can happen. This is the things that are happening to your body. If it does happen, like all of it, not again, not just a violation of your body, but how it looks, how it shows up. Because in like we already talked about, anything could be traumatic, but this is the reason why the conversation still needs to be had because people act like they're so afraid
Right.
or are ashamed of it. And so, yeah, that's
It's,
the
it's
reason why
it's
we're
a
here.
big gap. It's a big gap
Yeah.
because I want to say like this here. When I look back, how time played in my factor, because the conversations of men having conversations with their boys, I didn't get that because I was the baby. So the conversation about sex in the house really didn't pertain to a child back then versus having siblings up, above you. So when
Yeah.
you now as a child, I'm hearing if you ain't got a condom, you make sure you wrap it up with a hefty bag, 3-ply, and a rubber band. Now, what does that mean to me at the age
Hmm.
of 5 and 6?
Hmm.
I have
Hmm.
no idea what that means. I don't know if you're talking about balloons or whatever.
Right.
So the timeline for me to come along as I started having sex, I learned from my older siblings what it
Hmm.
was about. But I
Hmm.
didn't learn how to really cultivate my mind to understanding a woman's intellect until I was taught by a woman. And my mother would say certain things, but
Yeah.
when you start experiencing with different women outside of the home, now you're starting to open your mindset of like, okay, I'm a man now, or I'm growing into my manhood,
Right.
and so I need to know what this woman is like. I'm knowing the different type of women I'm dealing with. I'm
Hmm.
learning how they are dealing, how they're giving me and teaching me about them. Now, the right thing to do is observe and listen and
Yeah.
apply that back to them. So you giving them the better understanding that I do understand what you're saying. I do understand your emotions. I do understand your
That's
feelings.
right.
Some cases that never happened because I was like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm saying, speaking from my own personal experience, like I didn't give a damn because
Right.
right now, when I was hurt, as I said, the trauma that I received from one woman, I would throw it at
Mm-hmm.
all of them, which was
Yes.
wrong because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
control myself first to say
Mm-hmm.
that you're not going to do that to me. I'm automatically thinking you're going to do it to me. Why? Because you're a woman,
Yeah.
and vice
That's right.
versa. These are
That's
the
right.
things now in the generations now with us and our children to flow later. That's why it's more important that we have these communications amongst each other and with our seeds so that
Mm-hmm.
they don't get the same misconceptions of what
Right.
sex is and so forth. So, and then a lot of that still is different because sex education that was being taught in the schools was not the curriculum you really get at home. So how do you come back home and say, well, they say this in school, but then your parents be like, oh, that's nonsense. They don't teach them, blah, blah, blah. So you got other things, it's like playing tennis. Who's
Yeah.
going to win? Who's going to win that next love? So
Yeah.
what do? The best experience is your own experience, but you also have to make sure what you get from when you were taught as a child, you take it and accept it. And then it doesn't always apply, but you can apply the science. If it doesn't work, that means it wasn't working for you. What worked
Yeah.
for our parents may not always work for us in the future of what we're doing. What works
Mm-hmm.
for us now may not work for our kids, but at least we're giving them structure and guidance to surpass what we do. And that's the main thing about being a parent. You want your
Yes.
kids to be better than you, to surpass you, because you know that you've given them the best that you can so that they can move forward and show that, you know what, I remember when mom or dad taught me this, that, and that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another avenue approach I have for myself, and I think it's going to be a better way for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't, and that's it. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm glad you said that. But if it were more, more parents that even would speak, even if they didn't know what to say, but they knew it was necessary to have the conversation or
Mm-hmm.
conversations with their children, we would be better off. Just like we're different, like we're different. And now, yeah, we can speak to our children differently. Our parents had they just didn't want to have the conversation
Right,
with us.
right. They
And
never
that's,
wanted to discuss that
I
elephant in
was
the
about to
room.
say something else. No, they just didn't want to have the conversation with
Mm-hmm.
us. And that's why we learn in ways that I know I had no business learning.
Mm-hmm.
I know I had no business learning it like that.
And I'm gonna tell you a funny story because growing up back in the days, I never really knew what that red bottle and that tube and the thing was in the bathroom. I never knew what that was. I always thought it was a water gun. I I never knew what it was truly for. So
So
you know,
that's
and
why
that
you
was
have to
fun.
ask. Well, I don't know if your mom would have told you, but when I saw it, I was just like, this is strange. And what is this? And my mom was like, all right, I just gotta tell you what it is.
We got
And
you.
then, me being me, and I was just like, and so you do that? And you do that? Yeah. So, and I'm glad you brought that up because something like that can be embarrassing to parents
Uh-huh.
or even for the children. But somewhere, if you see your child is like very curious about something, it's like, then
Mhm.
educate them.
Well,
You
it
know,
wasn't no education. I
it
just told
wasn't,
them, leave
it
that
was just
alone.
like,
Don't play with it.
yeah, right. Leave it alone. Don't touch it. Why it's so crazy.
Exactly.
What was KD saying? Because he
Oh,
wants me
I'll
to
put it
talk
back
to
up. I'm gonna put
him.
it back
Okay.
up.
No disrespect. I talk to nieces, nephews, and stepkids, which are girls, ladies now, and my two men. I don't hold back. Oh, yeah, and you shouldn't. So I totally agree and respect your voice. I learned because my pops was a whore, but raised by my moms. For sure. For sure. Mine was too. I guess they were running buddies, huh, KD? Because yeah, I learned a lot from that man. And so many different things. But I really am when I think about it to wrap up everything we were saying, to think about what my dad was to me, for me, how I looked at him. Is that do I hear a reverb?
Yeah,
Is
it
that
was an
me?
echo time.
Um, what that was for me and what that did to me, it shaped me in a way to where you see this woman here today. Because had I not gone through, and I hate that I went through that, but had I not gone through all of that happened to me, I know I still would have been a person that stood out. I understand that. I know I would have been that. But I don't think I would have been this person. This person is like, when they say, oh, she a beast. Like, I am a warrior for real. And I know had I not gone through that, I don't think I would have been a warrior. I think I just would have been neutral. So I really do I really do thank my parents for the experience, and that may sound strange, but I am who I am because of them. And I'll say that.
I know we're running short on time, sis, but I want you to address this right here. Another comment from Diane Foster. If you can read that right there.
That's Dion for
Dion, excuse me, Dion.
Okay. So I talked to my oldest granddaughter, 16 years old. I tell her, I don't know if her father and mother was telling her, but I talked to her straight up. Yes. I tell her I don't care what a chicken or a guy say to you, but your actions speak louder than words. Yeah, so I'm glad she has you.
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody because your 16-year-old granddaughter, I know. I said chicken, but in my head I was like chick. Okay. Because your granddaughter has you, she is truly going to be so thankful that you're having these conversations with her. Because she's probably thinking like, my mom, my dad, no one else around me is bold enough, cares enough, because she probably doesn't care enough. But for you to have these conversations with her straight up, whatever, saying whatever, man, the respect that she has for you is like the highest, because she needs that. They have questions, they want answers, they want to be listened to, they want to be supported, loved, all those things, and you are doing just that. So please keep doing what you're doing with her, for sure.
I have to apologize to everyone. The Wi-Fi over here is picking up because of the weather, and I got booted out for whatever reason.
No apologies. We kept it going. We kept it going.
I know you did. I know you did.
We kept it going.
Yeah. Barbara Moss down here, she says your testimony is a blessing. She also is an author. She has a book out based upon her life experience as well.
Oh,
I'm trying to see if
we
I
gotta
can
get that one too, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can try to get her to come on the show so she don't be shy.
Oh, Barbara, you can't be shy when you come on the show. The show, you can't do that. But I definitely want people to understand. Like, okay, I told her I spoke to her mother, but she didn't listen. She will always say, "I should have listened to my granddaughter." See.
Just what we talking about.
That's why I say keep talking.
Yep.
You are her safe space.
Hey,
yes.
Sis, when you get an opportunity, can you express how the traumatic situation for sexual abuse, it affects the child, and it is generational, how individuals can break that curse?
Oh yeah, because I'm the curse breaker, as they say. Like these generation patterns that we have in our families. Like I'm the one that's breaking it, because I'm the one. Like my grandma, it is so funny. I was talking to her the other day, and I asked her. I said, "You mean to tell me you didn't know my dad was over there doing that to me, and that you didn't know my dad was beating the hell out of your daughter?" And she was just frozen. She was like, "I had no idea." I said, "I don't believe you. I respect you, but I do not believe you." And so all of that went on both sides, my mom's side and my dad's side. Like all of that craziness that people go through, like, no, it's crazy. But when I came along, I was like, you know what? I'm about to stop this. So being the curse breaker, generation curse breaker, whatever you want to call it, it can be really difficult. You can be seen as they say, like the black sheep, but I don't care nothing about that. Because it needs to stop. And I don't want my children to deal with any of this. I don't want my children thinking they have to grow up and just like accept disrespect of any kind. And so in the beginning, it was really hard for me to be that person, because I felt like I was by myself. But then when I thought about it, I knew actually what I was doing was healing the family. I was actually healing the lineage. Like I knew I was healing all the past, and I know my ancestors are proud of me. Like I don't care nothing about the living people. Like I really don't. Like I know my ancestors are proud of me because they're like, yes, we have been waiting for somebody like you. So that's how I would answer that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I know, like, we're coming to the end, and you come on the show anytime. You get ready. This ain't going
Absolutely.
to stay home away from home. You live here,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and y'all bully me. So,
we did it tonight.
He got off easy, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So, oh,
uh,
but next time, no, I'm saying.
but for all of y'all who are watching and subscribing, who've been paying attention tonight, this is our sister Lynn. Um, she just had a birthday.
No,
Yep.
no, no. It's coming up. It's
No, it's
coming up.
coming up.
Yes, it's coming.
It's on the 8th. It's on the
It's on
8th.
the 8th, and September 8th is her birthday. So we're going to celebrate with her. We're going to have a blast with her. I don't know if we're going to do a virtual party,
We need to
but
do something.
we need to do something.
Well, that's
And
okay because Kay already comes on TikTok, so that'll be my party right there.
party. So make sure that y'all tune in to Kay's TikTok after dark, riding the soul train for our sister Lynn's birthday.
For sure, for sure.
Definitely. But we love you.
Diane Foster says happy early birthday.
I love you
Yes.
too. Who said happy early birthday?
Right here, right
Oh,
here.
thank you, Dion.
Yeah.
Dion, I don't know why I'm saying Diane. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Thank
It's,
you, Dion.
I need
Yeah.
my glasses.
and
I appreciate it.
we love you. We love.
I love
Hey,
you too.
and definitely plug my niece's pickle business. Make sure that y'all go out there and y'all order my niece's pickles. Okay.
And I'm glad you said that because they've been asking why y'all haven't ordered anymore. And I was like, first of all, I'll ask when I get on tonight. So y'all need to place an order. Because they've been asking like, are they gonna order some more? Yeah. So but yeah, H&L Pickles Perfected, those are my babies. They have a business. They wanted to make money. Like mommy, they want their own business. And I said, hey, come up with something. And they came up with a Kool-Aid pickles and pineapples, and they are amazing. Not just because they are my children. They are really good because even though I'm from the South, I never did eat that stuff. Never did eat that stuff. And then they start making them, and I was just like, I think this is my new favorite thing. And so yeah, you can. They're on Instagram, Pickles Perfected, and then on Facebook is H&L Pickles Perfected. So
Yeah. Make sure that y'all chime in, y'all tap in and order. And trust and know, my sister runs both of those pages.
yes, I
So
do.
all your orders will be going to our sister Lynn, and she will make sure it's shipped out in a timely fashion.
Yeah,
But
sure will. Absolutely.
I also want to make sure right here, let everybody know that this episode will also air on PUSO 82.3 FM on Live 365. This episode will air the audio version. All right. You can see it won't be this week. It'll be the following week because we already booked up for just about the end of the month. I got so many shows, but this is going to be plugged in. Also, make sure if you're looking to get good books and good readings on this, you can go to Amazon and type in no more. Type in Lynn Meyer, not Myers, Meyer.
Thank
Get
you.
it. The first book, No More. Second book, No More, which is the workbook, if I'm not mistaken, sis.
The workbook.
The workbook. And then the third book is No More Excuses. No More Excuses. All right. Let's heal for the real. That's the workbook. Let's get it in, y'all. Our sister's doing the thing. I'm so proud of her and thankful for you coming on the show again. And this definitely, we're going to have to do a part 2 to this, or we just come on with a whole new topic. But this has been very, very
like
enlightening.
Part 7 or 8 on this.
Well, for you it is.
Part 2. Yeah,
for you it is. This is part 7 intervention for judgment.
Right.
Everybody else. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you all seriously for tuning in for the Real 360. I hope that you have been enlightened and inspired by our sister Lynn Meyer, the HRT coach. So if you want to see more episodes like this, just holler at us and tell her, bring your sister back on. We're going to take it. As soon as you say it, we coming. So, all right. We appreciate y'all. We're going to get out of here. We talk to y'all later. And we see y'all, for everybody that's out there, have a safe weekend. Be safe out there. The weather is still what it is. Make sure you take care of yourselves, all right? Always know where your children are. Call them up, tell them you love them. This is Real to Real 360 on behalf of myself, KYs, and my brother Joshua Law, and our sister Lynn. We are out of here like last year. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we starting to come to the end of the show. Right now, I want to take the time out and thank our guests for coming on. Also, too, we want to make sure that y'all listening and subscribing, and tell a friend and keep sharing, because we're going to keep bringing y'all the real content. You know what I mean? So, DJ KYs, my brother, check us up out of here, son.
True
Peace.
I want to give a big shout out to the nation of gods and nurses, to all the human families on the planet Earth. I say peace. But to our subscribers, those who continue to watch and listen to the show each and every time we come on, I give a big shout out of love, peace, and happiness to you. The peace of man, woman, and child of the you and I verse. It's time for us to disperse. We bring the best, not the worst. We thank you once again for tuning in to the Real 360. Bring a friend to hit that like and subscribe, so we continue to grow to bring more knowledge and wisdom to you upon